Please read in this chapter, please hear about Lord Chaitanya's pleasurable pastimes as a young scholar. We were listening the other day, yesterday, how at Advaita Bhavan, how at first Nimai was protesting that he wasn't allowed to study, and he was sitting on the pots of the discarded cooking pots, and at that time he explained he wanted to study, and Sachimata, she told Jagannath Mishra, Jagannath Mishra, and initiated him the sacred Gayatri thread, and then took him to Gangadas Pandit, and he began studying, and he became the most astounding student of Gangadas Pandit, and is described next chapter of Chaitanya Bhagavat. This is chapter 10, Adi Kanda, that he would conduct debates. Nimai would conduct debates with the other students, and the students formed groups, like little political units, and they would debate each other. And Nimai was the leader of his group. So Nimai would discuss. He would challenge other group leaders and defeat them. And then after that he would discuss with his own group about all of the details of the victory, and this way the group would wander and challenge all the other students. And Murari Gupta, he was a student in the school also of Gangadas Pandit, and Murari Gupta, whose house we have arrived at here, residence of Sri Murari Gupta, childhood associate and friend of Nimai. He was not interested in joining Nimai's group. And Nimai was inducing him to join his group. So Nimai would confront Murari Gupta every day, regularly confront him and debate with him. Chandaner Shobha Udva Tilak Shubhati Mukut Ganjaye Divya Darshaner Jyoti. That the sandalwood decorating his forehead shone with a golden glow. His mukut, his teeth, they exhaled the effulgence of white pearls as he was sitting there. Goranga Shundor Vesh Madan Mohan Sodash Botshur Prabhu Protam Jovan. He's 16 years old and just entering youth, and his beauty excels that of Madan Mohan. And the erudition that Nimai was demonstrating was exceeding Brihaspati himself, the guru of the demigods. And if any student was trying to study on his own and not joining Nimai's group, then Nimai would taunt him. Prabhu bole, ite ache kon boro jan, ashe kon duga deki amar stafan. Where is that person that can defeat the arguments that I establish? So Murari Gupta, he heard these provocative statements and boastful words of Nimai, but he remained silent and he continued to do his work. But still Nimai would not leave him alone, Murari Gupta. He taunted Nimai, he taunted Murari Gupta at every opportunity. But seeing the calm reaction of his dear servant, the Lord was very satisfied. Prabhu bole, Vaidya tumi, Iha keno patha, lata pata niye ki rogi karada. He's saying that you are a Vedic doctor. Murari Gupta was in the family of Vaidya, of Ayurvedic physicians. So he's saying, you're a Vedic doctor, why are you coming here to study grammar? Take your leaves and your herbs and make a compound to cure the sick and go. Grammar is extremely difficult to learn, and there is no mention of mucus, bile or indigestion. Mani mani chinta tumi ki bhujiba iha Gore jao, tumi rogi drita kore diya. What are you wasting your time here for? What do you think you can accomplish? Learning grammar, studying on your own. You go home and try and cure the sick. Now Murari Gupta, he actually is an incarnation of a Hanumanji. And here in this temple we have the deities of Sitaram, Lakshman, Hanuman. Hanumanji is there. And also he is a partial expansion of Lord Rudra, Lord Shiva. And he had a volatile temper. However, hearing this taunting and insulting of Nimai, he never once lost his temper. He would simply reply, "Oh learned Brahmin, please tell me one thing. I see that you taunt everyone. Why are you so arrogant? On what subjects did you not receive a proper answer from me?" Whatever topic you brought up, whether it be verb rules, astrology, or different purports, or other philosophical questions, I answered them all, without waiting for you to reply and flaunt me. What do you know? You're a learned Brahmin. Why do you act in this way? And then Nimai said, "Okay, so let us hear what you have learned today." And whatever Murari Gupta said, Nimai immediately smashed him and refuted all of his conclusions. And then Murari Gupta would explain in a different way. And then Nimai would similarly pull apart all that explanation and defeat Murari Gupta. And at last, it appeared that Murari Gupta was able to actually defeat the Lord in argument. Of course, this was the Lord's arrangement. And the Lord empowered Murari Gupta to exhibit great erudition. And the Lord was very pleased by Murari Gupta's explanation. And at that time, after Murari Gupta defeated the Lord placed his lotus hand on the head of Murari Gupta. And upon receiving the sublime touch of the soft lotus hand of the Lord, Murari Gupta experienced transcendental bliss. Chintaye Murari Gupta apan hridaye prakrita manush kabo ei purush nei. And he's thinking, when the Lord placed his soft lotus hand on his head, that this Nimai cannot be an ordinary person. How could it be possible for an ordinary person to possess such vast learning? And when my body felt the touch of his hand, spiritual excitement by the touch of his hand went all through my body. Therefore, I think I should be not ashamed to learn under this tutor and accept him as my tutor. So Murari Gupta submitted to the Lord. Santoshito hoy bolena vaidya var chintiba tomasthane shuni Vishrambar. O Vishrambar, I will learn under your tutorship. So in this way, the Lord and Murari Gupta would perform various pastimes and together while they were students in the school of Gangadas Pandit. And in this way, Murari Gupta served the Lord, an eternal associate of the Lord who comes to associate with and serve the Lord and to embellish the Lord's pastimes as a scholar. Now one time, a little later, after Mahaprabhu had grown up and inaugurated the Sankirtan movement, and he was in the house of Srivas Thakur, there are many pastimes of Murari Gupta. Today we'll just hear a couple. There are many. You can read, there's one purport in the Chaitanya Bhagavat, and Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur in the purport, he lists all the, where every place where Murari Gupta is mentioned. There's a huge purport. Almost every 2-3 chapters, Murari Gupta was there. Different leaders. Murari Gupta was there, and Mahaprabhu exhibited the pastime of the Lord Varaha in the house of Murari Gupta. And then one day Murari Gupta fed the Lord, and the Lord was unable to digest. The next day he came and took the water of Murari Gupta. He said, "You are a physician, heal me." And then another one was said that this Lord Ram, he was He couldn't take his mind off Lord Ram, and Mahaprabhu wrote on his forehead Ramdas. And then even Murari Gupta later in Chaitanya Bhagavat describes he wanted to commit suicide. And Mahaprabhu came and took the knife. All these very interesting. And then when Mahaprabhu took sannyas, we're going to hear a little bit about that tomorrow. Mahaprabhu taking sannyas. Only 4 people accompanied him, and amongst them was Sri Murari Gupta. So one day, when Sriman Mahaprabhu was in the house of Srivas Thakur, with the house of Srivas Thakur, where we were the day before yesterday, with Nityananda Prabhu. At that time, Murari Gupta came. And Murari Gupta, he prostrated himself at the lotus feet of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, lotus obeisances at the lotus feet of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And then he got up, and then he went and he paid obeisances at the lotus feet of Lord Nityananda Prabhu. So Mahaprabhu, who was always pleased with Murari, he spoke in a very frank way. Jai Korila Murari na hoy vyavahar Jyotikram Korea Namaskar. What you have done just now, Murari, in offering obeisances, you have violated Vaishnav etiquette. Would you be interested to hear how Murari Gupta had violated Vaishnav etiquette? So Mahaprabhu asked him, why did you, of all persons, do this? You are supposed to teach others. Why are you ignorant about these esoteric rules? Murari replied, how can I know anything? All I know is that you are in full control of my heart, and I have acted according to your desire. The Lord said, alright Murari, go home, and tonight you will come to know everything, and tomorrow we shall meet again. So that evening, Murari had a dream, and in the dream he saw Lord Nityananda Prabhu dressed like a kingly wrestler, walking ahead down the street like a kingly wrestler, huge Nityananda Prabhu. Great hoods of snakes were above his head, and in his hands was the pestle and plough. Pestle and plough are the ornaments of Lord Balaram, who's the farmer. Lord Nityananda looked exactly like Lord Balaram, and behind him walked Vishwambara. And then Vishwambara looked at Murari in the dream and smiled, and he said, Swapna Prabhu Hashi Kohe Janila Murari Ami Jai Konishta Mane Bhujai Bichari. Ami Jai Konishta, I am younger than Nityananda. Now do you understand, Murari? I am junior, and consider this properly in your mind. So this is an interesting aspect of the incarnation of Gaura, that we know according to Tattva, Vishnu Tattva, Bhagavat Tattva. It explains in Srimad Bhagavatam, first canto, chapter 3. Ete Chamsha Kala Pungsha Krishna's tu Bhagavan Svanam Indrari Bhakalam Lakim Hridayanti Yuge Yuge, that of all the different incarnations, and they're listed there in the third chapter of first canto, different incarnations are listed there. So at the end of describing all these incarnations, Sutta Goswami explains that these are all expansions of Vishnu, Kshirodakshaya Vishnu. But Krishna is the original Supreme Personality of Godhead. So from Krishna all the different Vishnu expansions come, like the Purusha avatars, Mahavishnu, Garudakshayi Vishnu, Garanakshayi Vishnu, Kshirodakshaya Vishnu. They're called Purusha avatars. And from the Kshirodakshaya Vishnu, who resides on the ocean of milk in the heavenly realm, from that incarnation of Kshirodakshaya Vishnu, all of the avatars, all the Leela avatars appear, like Lord Varaha and Lord Kalki and Lord Buddha and Lord Vamandev and Lord Kurmadev etc. They all appear as expansions of that Kshirodakshaya Vishnu. But Krishna is not an expansion of Kshirodakshaya Vishnu. Krishna is Swayam Bhagavan, and from him all the other Vishnu expansions come. So the first expansion is called Swayam Prakash, and that is Lord Balaram. The first expansion of Krishna is Lord Balaram, Swayam Prakash. He's exactly the same as Krishna in potency, in tattva. He's also the Supreme Personality of Godhead. But the difference is that he comes from Krishna. He's the first expansion of Krishna. He's also eternal. But at the same time, Krishna is the original form of Godhead. And just as Lord Balaram, he appears in Vrindavan, also just before Krishna, he appears, 1 year before Krishna, in order to prepare the environment and the atmosphere and the playground for Krishna to appear in. So similarly, Lord Nityananda appears, and he's elder than Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. However, we know that Srimad Mahaprabhu, he is original personality of Godhead. Lord Nityananda is his expansion. So this is in terms of tattva, in terms of the philosophy. But in terms of rasa, Mahaprabhu treats Nityananda Prabhu like his elder brother, in the same way that Krishna also treated Lord Balaram as his elder brother. And there's many stories like that. Just like Lord Balaram, he wanted Subhadra to marry Duryodhana. He wanted Lord Balaram. This is interesting. They have a different opinion. Krishna and Balaram have a different opinion, and it's quite a different opinion. Lord Balaram wants Subhadra to marry Duryodhana. And because Balaram is the elder brother, Krishna just comes and say, no, I won't marry Duryodhana. Oh, I want Subhadra to marry Arjuna. He can't do that because Lord Balaram is elder brother. So younger brother has to follow what elder brother does. Any of you have elder brother? Okay, you have to follow what he says? Oh. I have 2 older brothers, but I don't have to follow what they say because they're in my house. So Krishna, he can't just disagree. So then Krishna makes a whole arrangement, and he tells Arjuna what to do. You know the story how Arjuna and Subhadra married? A very interesting story. He told Arjuna to dress up like a sannyasi and go to Dwarka, and when you get there, Lord Balaram, he's very dutiful as the king and householder, so naturally he would like to host any sannyasi. So Lord Balaram, Krishna said, you sit under the tree outside the entrance to Balaram's palace, and that's it. And then Lord Balaram sees him, oh Goshai, Paribraja Acharya Goshai, come, I am so fortunate that a wandering mendicant like you, whose dust of his lotus feet can purify the whole world, has come to my house, is Arjuna. So he said, come and rest a few days in my house, and my younger sister Subhadra, she will look after all your needs. So the sannyasi is there as Arjuna, and Subhadra is serving as sannyasi, cooking and cleaning, everything. And then sometimes there's a little chit-chat, and they're talking about different things. Oh, Goswami Maharaj, you must have travelled so many places. Yes, I've And she said, Goswami, Swamiji, you're travelling. Have you ever seen the Pandavas in your travels? Yes, I've seen the Pandavas. Then she said, have you ever? Of course, she used to wonder why sometimes the sannyasi was taking prasadam and sometimes he was looking at somebody. And why sannyasi should not look. So she was wondering about that. And then she said, so you've seen the Pandavas? Yeah, I've seen the Pandavas. Then she said, well, in your travels, Goswami Maharaj, you've travelled to so many places and you've seen so many things. In your travels, did you ever see Arjuna? Yeah. Do you know where Arjuna is? And he says, I think he's sitting in your house taking prasadam. So then it was all planned, and Arjuna took Subhadra on the chariot, and was leaving, and then all the other princes were coming in, and they saw, and there was a fight, and then afterwards Lord Balaram was very angry. This is a difference of opinion. Lord Balaram was very angry, and he was out to destroy Arjuna. And then Krishna says, brother, listen, actually, Subhadra has chosen Arjuna. Subhadra loves Arjuna. She cannot give her heart to anyone else. And actually, Arjuna did not steal Subhadra and put her on the chariot. He did not do that. Actually, she voluntarily got on the chariot. And you'll notice that as they were departing, Subhadra was actually driving the chariot. She wasn't taken by force. She was driving the chariot. So in this way, Krishna was able to trick Balaram, and gradually his agenda was established through a clever arrangement of Lord Krishna. So in this way, you see there's an interesting leela between Krishna and Balaram, and also Lord Balaram, he didn't participate in the battle of Kurukshetra, even though Krishna was so determined that the Kauravas are punished and killed. Lord Balaram was neutral. So it's rather interesting. But we don't see so much in the pastimes of Gaura Nitai such difference of opinion in different leaders. We don't see. However, this is interesting that Mahaprabhu wants Lord Nityananda Prabhu to be respected before him because he's the elder brother. And so similarly, in terms of application for us, we worship Gaura Nitai together. Just like we sing so many songs. We'll sing another song in a little while. We worship Gaura Nitai. We worship Gaura Nitai together, as is the standard of the previous acharyas. You'll see the temples and all Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur and Bhaktivinoda Thakur and Srila Prabhupada worshipping Gaura Nitai. Prabhupada particularly, he installed the Gaura Nitai deities because they are the most merciful. Parama Puruna Bahu Dui Bhai Nitai Gaura Chandra. These two brothers are the most merciful. So today how fortunate we are that we can sit here in the house, the temple of Murari Gupta, where Hanumanji is there. We can sit and come together and glorify Gaura Nitai. What better place in the three worlds could we possibly be? There's the mercy of Srila Prabhupada actually has given us Srinam Mayapur. Srila Prabhupada said to Bhavananda Prabhu, he said, here, I've given you Sridham Mayapur. Take it, develop it, enjoy it. Take it, develop it, enjoy it. So we're here spiritually enjoying. So Murari Gupta, so we worship Gaura Nitai. Prabhupada established so many Gaura Nitai deities. And then ultimately we worship Panchatattva. We don't worship... we don't make any speculation. We worship Gaura Nitai together, we worship Panchatattva. And they're Gaura Nitai together there, Advaita Acharya is in Srivas Thakur. And in this way. So the relevance for us is that, as we mentioned, we worship Gaura Nitai together. Even when you're worshipping Gaura Nityananda deities, you put them together and you bathe them. And you offer everything together simultaneously. You put them together. You put the chandan, and then you put the tulasi, and then you everything. Just you worship them together. Nityananda. Relevance for us is that we should be aware of Vaishnava etiquette. It's an important thing. Mahaprabhu put emphasis on that. He didn't think it was not necessary. So we should learn how to associate with the devotees accordingly. There's three types of association. We can associate with the equals, we can associate with the juniors, we can associate with the seniors. Premi Maitri Kripa Upeksha Sakuroti Samadhyam Madhyam Bhakta Premi Maitri Kripa Upeksha Ishvara Taradini Bhalashe Shuddhi Sachata Premi Maitri Kripa Upeksha Sakuroti Samadhyam. That he makes friends with the equals, he worships the seniors, and he gives mercy to the juniors. This is how you associate as a Vaishnava. You make friends with the equals, you worship the seniors, and you give mercy to the juniors. So when you see your equal, you can embrace him. And when you see your senior, then you bow down. And when you see the junior, then you give mercy to them, and you can accept their respect. Because that's how Vaishnavas, because by accepting their respect, then that will be pleasing to Krishna, and that purifies them. So, and with equals we embrace. And generally in Vaishnava society, generally, as is the standard that Prabhupada has set for us, we pay obeisances to all the Vaishnavas. We pay obeisances to all Vaishnavas. Dikshati chak pranati vishta bhajantam isham. Rupa Goswami, today we were there at Radha Kund. And Rupa Goswami in Upadeshamrita, he describes the glories of Radha Kund as the ultimate abode, the topmost place. So in the same book, Upadeshamrita, Rupa Goswami, he explains from the very beginning to the topmost. And the beginning of sadhana, devotional association, that Dikshati chat pranati vishta bhajanta nisham. Those who are serious devotees, Dikshati Yashcha, in other words, they either have taken initiation, or else they may not have taken initiation, because you can take time you can take time before you take initiation. But if you're on the level of an initiated devotee, Dikshati Cha. In other words, you're following the 4 principles and you're chanting regularly, 16 rounds, like that. Then that person, if the person is doing that, you should pay obeisances when you see that person. Dikshati Cha Pranativis, you should pranam, you should pay obeisances. Cha Bhajanta Isham, because they are seriously worshipping the Lord. There's different kinds of devotees. Kanishta Madhyam Bhutam. So we are Madhyam, we are middle range. Kanishta means that yes, they believe in God and they like to serve God, but they're not very serious. There's so many other things in their life, and then Jai Gopal, Gopal, very nice. Yeah. But they're not serious in life. They haven't made the service of the Lord the main interest in their life, as we were discussing a couple of days ago. Your main business should be to take shelter of the holy name. So when a person has accepted that their main purpose of their life is to become Krishna conscious, such a person you should bow down to when you see that person. Because that will be pleasing to Krishna, that person is dear to Krishna. And by showing that respect, then Krishna will be very kind upon you. So in this way we can understand the importance of these. And accordingly, according to respect, we should learn the etiquette and treat the Vaishnavas accordingly. And also in terms of seniority, there are ashram considerations. I think everybody here grihastha. So generally the grihasthas will show more respect to the renounced order. Just like here we have the brahmacharis in the temple, we show respect to them because they are even at a level of more commitment than the grihastha. And even more than the brahmacharis is the sannyasis. Today we saw one Gaudiya Mat sannyasi. Not ISKCON, but still we the sannyasi. So this is culture, Vaishnava culture and ashram dharma. You bow down on the street. And you see the brahmachari, then you can say, Prabhu, Hare Krishna. You see the grihastha, Jai. You see the sannyasi, you should bow down. Bow down on the street. And then even amongst sannyasis, those who are longer time in sannyas, they should be shown respect before the first. So these are all aspects of Vaishnava etiquette. Those who were initiated earlier, those who became sannyasi earlier. So even within ISKCON we have sannyasis, but they're also not all on the same level. Some sannyasis were directly given the sannyas by Prabhupada. Some sannyasis were directly given the sannyas by Prabhupada. So amongst sannyasis, they are senior. And then other sannyasis, after Prabhupada left, other sannyasis, they were given the sannyas from their own godbrothers. The sannyas guru can be your godbrother if your actual Diksha guru has left. But those sannyasis who took sannyas from Prabhupada, they are the senior sannyasis, and they are given the respect accordingly. So this respect is the same, but the order of respect. You would, in the prasadam time, you would put the many sannyasis, you would put the senior sannyasi first. So these things are important in our Vaishnava life. And if we don't understand and apply these in our interaction and behavior with each other, then we will just create our own, Bollywood culture. that we get in movies and this and that. So we have culture, and this is the ideal way of social interaction.